English writing skills, punctuation marks, lesson 2.
Look at our next model. In this lesson, we can talk about having a perfect memory. We can consider some cool physical powers. You know there has to be a mistake here, right? At least one? Think, what is a clause? It has a subject and a verb. Subject, verb, subject, verb. Okay, so we have two clauses. Is one of them a dependent clause? No, we have two independent clauses. So do we really have one sentence? No. If we leave this as is, we have a mistake. It's a long sentence. It's a run-on sentence. A run-on sentence is a really long sentence that does not correctly join parts together. We have two independent clauses. We need to break them up somehow. One way to do this is to simply end our first sentence here and begin a new sentence here with we. There is a way to join these two independent clauses together, though. That's a good start, but it's not enough. We cannot simply use a comma to join two independent clauses together. That's another kind of mistake in writing. It's called a comma splice. We can't join two independent clauses together with only a comma. We need a special word here, a conjunction, a coordinating conjunction. Coordinating conjunctions help us join two independent clauses together to form a compound sentence. We need to think, what is the relationship here? What's the relationship between the two independent clauses? We can talk about having a perfect memory. We can consider some cool physical powers. It sounds like we have a choice. To express a choice, to express alternatives, we can use the word or. Or is a coordinating conjunction that expresses an alternative, choices. What are other coordinating conjunctions? There are several. The most common ones are or, but expresses a contrast, and expresses an addition, so expresses a result.
What I'd like you to learn from this second model is how to avoid run-on sentences and comma splices. This is an example of a run-on sentence. One way we can fix this is by writing two simple sentences. I once saw a magician do tricks with fire. He made a flame appear on his fingertips. This is an example of a comma splice. One way we could fix this is by adding a coordinating conjunction. I see that second independent clause as contrasting information, so I think but would be a good choice. The fire looked very real, but it didn't seem to hurt the magician at all. Now that you've learned how to avoid common mistakes like sentence fragments, run-on sentences, and comma splices, let's review sentence types. A simple sentence, as you'll recall, has one independent clause. For example, I know a few magic tricks. A complex sentence has one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. For example, my son got a magic kit when he was 7. A compound sentence has at least two independent clauses. For example, there's a magic box, and I can make money appear inside it. Now look at this example. I love teaching, so I wouldn't stop working even if I had a real magic money box. Hopefully you see it's compound because we have two independent clauses, but we also have one dependent clause, which makes this complex. We can call this a complex compound sentence. Look carefully at the punctuation. I have a comma plus a coordinating conjunction, and no comma before my dependent clause because it's in that final position.
Let me show you one more common use of the comma. Right here we have an introductory phrase. It's very common to use a comma to separate introductory words or phrases from the main part of a statement. So although it's not required, many writers choose to use a comma to give that kind of separation. Punctuation helps readers understand where to pause, how to read the statement aloud. So listen to all of this now with the correct punctuation, with punctuation to guide my reading. I'll use pauses at the comma and a full stop at the period. In this lesson, we can talk about having a perfect memory, or we can consider some cool physical powers.
Practice. Exercise 2. Punctuate the sentences. 1. Answer. A perfect memory would be convenient, but I wouldn't want to have one. Okay, the pattern is to join two independent clauses together with a comma and a coordinating conjunction. But is a coordinating conjunction. You will not always see a comma before a coordinating conjunction, especially in very short clauses, but that's the pattern. The common pattern is to use comma, conjunction. Now, with but, you'll see some variations. Not every writer considers it a mistake to start a sentence with but. My advice is not to start sentences with but frequently, especially in academic or professional writing. It's better to use coordinating conjunctions to join independent clauses together. 2. Here again we have two independent clauses. This is a comma splice. Remember, we can't join independent clauses together with only a comma. So we could make two separate sentences, or we can select a coordinating conjunction. I would suggest so to express a result. So my suggested answer is, we remember only important things, so my imperfect memory is good enough for me. 3. We have two independent clauses. That dash is not helping us join them together correctly. Now some writers might start sentences with so, but again, that is not a pattern I'd recommend for academic or professional writing. I think the best solution here is simply to replace that dash with a comma. And write, I have creative ways to remember things, so I decline the gift of a perfect memory. This is the end of part 2. Please go on to the next part of this lesson. Please visit my website today at www.englishwithjennifer.com. You'll find study tips, interactive exercises, including more practice to develop your writing skills, vocabulary videos, and more.